Greetings and welcome to our green edition of the ILO Future of Work podcast. I'm Belinda Jaffet and I'm joining you from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Today, I'm chatting with two very talented green entrepreneurs from Zimbabwe. They have recognized the challenges brought about by climate change and have come up with some interesting solutions which they are now running as successful businesses. But before we begin, we'd like to share a few figures around these two businesses. For example, did you know the average baby can use up to 4,000 to 6,000 disposable diapers before they are potty trained? Besides the huge cost, that's around 550 kgs of carbon emissions per child. And not to mention the billions of tons of plastic and toxic waste being disposed in landfills. Secondly, roughly around 16 million Zimbabweans live in rural areas with limited or scanty access to electricity. Women and children can often be found walking up to 10 kilometers daily to collect firewood for cooking and heating. This obviously contributes to rampant deforestation of precious forest land in Zimbabwe, but obviously around Africa as well. My guests today are Elizabeth Nyamuda, founder of Tamba Washables. It's a reusable cloth diaper manufacturing business in Zimbabwe. Our second guest is Luke Makarichi, founder of GreenTEC Energy, whose biogas digesters enable households to convert food and animal waste into renewable energy. His company now allows households from around Zimbabwe to use this energy for cooking and heating instead of cutting down trees for firewood. Both of these businesses have been awarded grants by the ILO's Green Enterprise Program in Zimbabwe. Elizabeth and Luke, welcome.
Thank you, Belinda.
So to begin with, your businesses are actually quite different, but they're actually both geared towards having a positive impact to the environment. Perhaps we can first start by you both telling us exactly how these ideas came about.
Thank you very much, Belinda. GreenTEC Energy is an idea that was born out of a visit that I made to a country in Southeast Asia in 2015. I had visited that country for a short course on global warming mitigation by balancing sustainable energy management. I visited a number of inspiring energy projects, including a waste power plant in Phuket. On my return to Zimbabwe, I realized that as a country, we're not doing much in terms of recovering energy and materials from waste. At the same time, I also realized that my country had a huge challenge when it comes to access to electricity. About 68% of the Zimbabwean population live in the rural areas where they have limited access to electricity. And we realize also that even in the urban areas, there are frequent power cuts. Zimbabwe was only generating around 1,200 megawatt against a demand of approximately 2,400 megawatt. So I realized that there was a gap and we could come in and bring in a business that can allow people to recover energy from waste materials, ranging from the food waste that they generate in their households on a daily basis, and also the livestock waste that is generated in farms. We realized that there is a gap and we can make use of that waste and convert it to energy in order to supply the shortfall.
How exactly did you come about to bring this idea now into making it a tangible business model?
For me, first of all, I realized that, because we can recover energy from a number of waste streams, including municipal solid waste, the organic waste that is generated in households, and also the livestock waste that is generated in farms mostly. But as a starting point, I realized that it would be very difficult to start with the large-scale, commercial plants like the waste-to-energy incinerators that we see in other parts of the world. So I realized that it would be easier for me to start with biogas, which is much simpler. In the country, we already had a number of biogas plants that had been deployed, most of which were donor-funded. So I realized that I could start by working with biogas plants, the small-scale biogas plants, and then move on to the larger-scale commercial plants. So I put together a team and shared the vision with them. They accepted the vision, they bought into it, they were inspired. And right away, we went on the ground, started talking to people whom we thought could be our potential first customers. And there we are, we were already, making business.
Elizabeth, I know your business idea is very different from Luke's. Do you mind sharing exactly where your business idea came from and how you began to make it into a successful business?
My business came about as an experience, out of experience, what I went through in trying to manage and provide a solution for myself at household level with regards to disposal of single-use diapers, and also disposal of our garbage, household garbage, where in the city that I live in, we're experiencing inadequate garbage collection. So would end up with tons of used soiled diapers. So in me trying to reduce that at household level, that's when I realized I could opt for the reusable diapers where I would get to do laundry, but at the same time save save on our garbage and reduce our garbage and save on our income as well. So after that, that's when I then decided to say, this experience, I would like to have other moms go through it as well. That's when I then started Tamba Washables.
That sounds very interesting. Now we can definitely see that you both are coming from two very different angles. But in terms of the renewable energy sector, we are seeing a lot of opportunities available for especially young people to enter this green economy. But it's still very young. It's a young sector, especially in African countries such as ours. How profitable is it to work in this sector at the moment?
I would think that is quite profitable, even though there are significant challenges in the sector, mostly emanating from the fact that Zimbabwe is used to in the past we used to have a very stable, power supply, but between the year 2000 and to date, that's when we had quite an erratic supply of electricity. So the penetration of the renewable energy into the power supply sector has been very, very low, mostly because of that reason. But it's a business that, in my view, I think is quite profitable. We see so many young people getting into it. Some are getting into solar installation services, and a few are getting into biogas systems as well. Yeah, it's still a very new sector, but we see a lot of progress in the sector, and we also think that there's still a lot of space, and there are more players that are coming and joining day by day.
Just to add on that, green businesses in general, they tend to take time, say, for the business to even say break even, and then start making profits and all. But because they like on one hand they solely rely on people, customers, that is, or consumers, changing their perspectives, changing their behavior patterns and the way they consume things. So it's like in relation to that, when people are more aware of the impact of their daily decisions on the environment, I think in a way it will mean an increase in the profitability of green businesses.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think it's also very important, like you touched on, how have you guys gone about changing people's attitudes? Firstly, towards the environment and why should they care, and secondly, towards what your product or what your services are offering. Why should they need you? So how have you both gone about to kind of start the conversation with the community and the country as a whole?
One of the key things is always look concentrating your marketing strategy on raising awareness. Like you just have to spend more on that, because the more people are aware uh, that the solution exists, and the more they are better informed at making their next decision with regards to purchasing green products, Sometimes people don't know that such products exist. So we hamper a lot with our marketing on just raising awareness and just making sure that people know the green alternative that exists.
Yeah, I completely concur with what Elizabeth is saying. It's an issue of awareness. What we have realized, for example, in the biogas industry, is that even though the technology has been around for many years, but still not so many people know about it. We get so many questions from customers and potential customers. Each time we talk to them about biogas, they will ask us, please, I'm a layman. Can you explain to me how biogas works? So we realized at the end of the day, after explaining to them so many things about biogas, that they are interested, they are excited about the innovations that we are bringing on the market. So it's a question of awareness. And that's the reason why, for example, as a company, we are trying to intensify as much as possible our marketing and awareness campaigns in order to raise awareness so that people get to know more about these green products.
Yeah, and with maybe some cultural challenges, some cultural barriers, or maybe just, cost. Some people think green is more expensive, for example. How have you faced these? Have there been any challenges around making people aware of your services?
In our case, I think the issue around cost is one of the most important barriers, apart from just the idea around awareness. The issue around the cost, you realize that um, uh, the biogas digester, the smallest, for example, in our case, would cost somewhere between 500 USD, 500 to 700 US dollars. So at times that cost is a huge barrier in terms of the decision to go for biogas. But what we've been trying to do as a company is to try and come up with innovative ways to make sure that our clients can still benefit from our services, irrespective of the cost. For example, at the moment we have launched what we call a pay-as-you-use biogas scheme, which is allowing our customers to own a biogas plant before they can actually pay for its construction. It's just one way to try and circumvent the problem around the cost. So we build the plant for them and ask them to pay for the cost for the next 18 or 36 months in small installments. That way it's easier because already they are now using the plant. They are now aware of the benefits. They are now enjoying the benefits of using biogas. So it's easier for them to pay up the project fee in small installments. So I would say that yes, indeed, the issue of cost has been one of the barrier, but we are trying to bring innovative ways to go around it.
Thanks, Luke, for sharing that. The I've in my business also the cash upfront factor. It's always a challenge, in as much as someone will get to serve in the long run. So I just wanted to find out, like, how is the model of like your pay as you use or pay as you go? How is it working? Are people like actually paying to clear up, or are there challenges with credit and stuff? Because that's also something I would want to consider in my business, but I would also want to know from someone who's actually doing it.
Okay, what we have seen so far is an overwhelming response in the uptake of our products under this new scheme. Okay, and we have two clients so far who are already on the scheme, and it's, even though it's quite new, it's doing very well. It's doing very well, and we think that we can rope in a number of customers to operate under the scheme. So far, we haven't seen much of a challenge. I'm not so sure whether is it because it's fairly new and because this is the second month of rolling it out. So perhaps as we go, we'll be able to see some of the challenges, perhaps around credit, late payments, and so forth and so forth. But so far, it's still good. We are anticipating to rope more clients. Actually, our target is to be able to rob 200 clients, around 100 for the 10 cubic meter facility, and then around 100 for the 20 cubic meter facility. We have a target of installing 200 plants under this scheme in the next 3 years.
Oh wow, that's great! Congratulations. So from what you both are saying, it seems like they are maybe some costs incurred that you did not maybe expect to incur as you're starting a business, as many business people will tell you. What other surprises have you faced while starting your businesses, and how have you had to change your strategies maybe to meet some of these surprises?
The biggest surprise for me was the journey, like the time it took for the business to break even. I would have thought going into business we're just going to experience profits. I didn't realize that the journey, you have to first break even, then you go beyond. I thought we'd just cast ourselves into profit first. Yeah, so that was the biggest surprise. But much appreciation goes to the trainings that we had been undertaken with the ILO, the Green Enterprise and Innovation Challenge Program. Uh, so at least it was now easier to just go about it, just to to go through it. Had it not been in the case that I was undergoing training, I'm sure that's when most small businesses will just say we'll give up because of that delay in experiencing enjoyable profit.
It's a big challenge. And even just paying yourself, for example, I mean, at what point could you even pay yourself from your business?
Yes, that's quite a challenge. And if you have workers, you have to prioritize paying the workers before you even think about paying yourself. And I've come to understand that that's quite normal. When I'm doing my budgets, I have to think about making sure that the workers are paid before I even consider paying myself and the other two directors that I work with. So yes, indeed, it's really an important factor. And for us, you realize that our products are divided into the small scale biogas plants and as well as the utility scale biogas plants. Our biggest surprise has been in terms of fundraising, the challenges around fundraising for the larger scale projects. We've been doing very well with the small scale projects, the biogas plants that range up to around 20 cubic meter, 20 cubic meters in size. But we have a project for which we signed, a contract last year. It's a capital intensive project which is supposed to run for about 5 years. Fundraising for that project has been really, really, really difficult, and that has been one of the biggest surprises. We never thought we would actually, go for as far as 12 months without hitting a huge milestone in terms of getting it financed. Yeah. And of course, also COVID was a huge surprise. We had to really comply with the government directives when they ordered non-essential business services to close down. Or we just had to comply, and that had to mean 2 to 3 months of not operating. Yes, it was indeed a huge blow.
Yes, I'm glad you touched on the COVID-19 pandemic and how it's affecting everyone. Let's go into that actually. In terms of running your businesses, I mean, obviously there's been the downside, but like on a more positive note, like any surprise benefits for running a green business at the moment? Any maybe delivery or pay as you go, or any marketing strategies have you've had to incorporate, and they've actually had some beneficial impact on your businesses during this time? Maybe Elizabeth, you could tell us about this, especially now that more mothers are staying at home, more children are being born. How has it impacted your business?
I've, I'll just take it from, say, the time when COVID hit. Would have thought that was the end of our business, but when we realized that as a business, as a green business, we also had a role to play in helping to reduce the number of cases of COVID in our country through making cloth face masks. So that was something that we ventured into, and it really helped a lot to boost our business during such a difficult period. The increase in demand of our product, it has been on the rise, with mothers staying at home, being at home, and also people losing their jobs. People actually realizing the importance of saving household income. So we have seen quite an increase in the demand of people requesting for our products, so that they can be so that it's been like more of a push factor on our consumer side, that the circumstances that came around COVID really pushed them into opting to make that decision to make use of cloth diapers versus the single-use diapers.
Elizabeth, I understand that you have also been involved in the production of cloth face masks in response to the COVID-19 challenges. How has been has been this part of your business been performing?
It was a bit of a challenge in that right at the beginning of the pandemic, we just weren't sure will cloth face masks work. So there was that phase where we kind of waited, are they going to work, until we started getting reports and guidelines from the WHO or from the Center for Disease Control, highlighting that, you know what, cloth face masks, they do work, even from your homemade one. That's when we jumped in, and we managed to make to have our product undergo laboratory tests to actually see the efficacy in how they could work. And getting that report was something that then instilled us to say, okay, now we can make this product available because we know it can work. So we're able to make face masks. At the same time, do trainings where we would go to rural communities and train seamstresses and tailors that side on how to make like an effective cloth face mask. Yeah, that would have meant looking at the number of layers and even the design and stuff like that. So we were really proud of ourselves and the role that we got to play.
Elizabeth, like I would really like to learn more about your product. For example, what makes it different to maybe, for example, the traditional diaper or the store-bought diaper? Could you maybe tell us a bit more exactly about how it is green?
Okay, so currently we are making like your modern cloth diapers, which are somehow an improvement of the traditional nappy. And they also have like a feel of the disposable nappy, but however they go further and be funky and attractive to look at through the various prints that we use. So with this product, with the cloth diaper, we see that it's able to provide the diaper need care for any family at least cost compared to single use disposable diapers.
And what materials do you use to make them?
So we use waterproof material, and then we also make use of, for the absorbency, we make use of organic fabrics. So we make use of cotton, bamboo, and hemp.
So, in terms of this theme of green and sustainability, as you might know, this Thursday, 22nd April, was Earth Day. So, in the theme this year's theme was Restore Our Earth. So, Elizabeth, you've actually answered pretty well about how your business is helping your country to restore our earth. Perhaps, Luke, you could tell us a bit more how exactly your business will help us restore our earth, especially with the challenges facing Zimbabwe and the continent as a whole.
Okay, you realize that our biogas systems make use of waste in order to convert that waste into useful energy. So in terms of the theme, in line with the theme, restore our earth, we are making use of waste that could have otherwise been disposed into the environment and cause a lot of pollution and a lot of challenges. In Zimbabwe, according to the latest report, the nationally determined contributions, it has been reported that the waste sector contributes about 4% in terms of the greenhouse gas emissions. So by recovering energy from the waste, especially the organic waste, we remove that part of the waste from the environment, which could have resulted in the generation of the greenhouse gases. And we make sure that any methane that is generated by our systems is converted to carbon dioxide during the combustion processes, which means that instead of us releasing methane into the atmosphere, which has a higher, what we say, a global warming potential, now if our customers are able to use the methane as a fuel, they can reduce it to a less potent gas, which is CO2. So we are doing a lot in terms of saving the environment, and at the same time, wherever we have constructed a plant, that means they will be able to cut less trees, they will be able to depend less on coal, they will be able to depend less on the other biomass sources of energy. They will rely solely on the biogas, which in a way, we are also helping to conserve the forests. We are helping to conserve the carbon sink that is available in the environment. So we are doing quite a lot. And apart from that, you also realize that there is a byproduct that comes from the biogas plant. The digested material, we call it digested. It comes from the biogas plant. It is a nutrient-rich, product which can be used to replace the chemical fertilizers. So instead of the farmer, for example, who has benefited from our services, instead of him buying lots and lots of chemical fertilizers such as ammonium nitrate, now they can offset that by just making use of the digestate that comes from the biogas plant, and they can use it as an organic fertilizer for their crops. So in a nutshell, those are some of the things that we are doing to help the environment, while at the same time making sure that we are also doing business sustainably.
So it seems like there's so many opportunities in the green economy for Africans. It's all about just what your interest is and where your talents lie. Elizabeth, for example, you are geared towards something that you actually experienced as a mother. But in terms of your experience, what advice would you give to others, especially women who are interested in starting their own green businesses in Africa?
The advice I would give to women, in young girls and women who want to enter into green business in Africa, is show up. So we know the challenges that we go through in Africa, and some of these we go through them daily. So it's only up to us to provide the solutions to these challenges through using business models. So it's such that we like kill two birds with one stone. We're able to address, to provide solutions for our communities and for our country, and at the same time we're also able to create employment for ourselves and for other women as well, which is so much needed in Africa at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have this whole, term called leapfrogging, in Africa, where, because we lack some access, for example, to electricity or internet or whatever, it allows us to be more creative with how but also using our traditional, knowledge, which both of you are actually doing, which is great. In terms of growth, both of you, could you briefly share with us your 5-year plan on how you plan on expanding your companies?
In my case, as I mentioned before, with the pay-as-you-use biogas scheme, we are expecting that in the next 3 years, we should be able to construct and deploy about 200 small-scale biogas plants. Apart from that, we are also working on the large-scale project that I mentioned about, which is a biogas to electricity project. It's the first of its kind in Zimbabwe. And we think that if we successfully implement this project, we are going to unlock a lot of investment in the sector. It's a project that is being constructed next to a housing development, and we have quite a number of such housing developments around the country. So we hope to have a lot of projects of this nature in the next few years. Apart from that, in the long run, we will also move to the larger scale projects such as landfill to gas recovery of energy from waste that has been disposed in sanitary landfills. Those are some of the things that we are just anticipating in the next 5 to 10 years.
Our 5-year plan entails us really trying to push for an increase in the use of our products, that is through complementing even the traditional NEPI. We also have now, through our experience through COVID, we now have our eye cast on entering into the maternal mental health terrain, where we realized that diaper need plays a big role in creating anxiety or depression in mothers. So we feel that that's an area that would want to actively participate in and see the improvement of the mental health of mothers.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a great idea, Elizabeth. I think that is an area that we often very much neglect, especially maybe in areas where there's not even a hospital, mental health clinic and so on, for mothers to go and use. So congratulations on that. A last question. I think we're actually running out of time. The conversation has been, flowing. Last question. What you guys are now, you guys are leaders in green economy in your country and in Africa. So, in terms of where do you guys think that the future of green jobs is headed in Africa, and how do you plan on being at the forefront of it?
In my view, I think you realize that there has been a lot of talk around sustainable development, greening the economy, and obviously renewable energy penetration into the energy supply matrix. So we think that with that movement that is taking place, there is going to be a lot of space for the creation of more and more green jobs. I think as more and more innovative products come into the market, especially related to energy supply, and also energy efficiency is also coming on board. So we think as a result of those developments, there's going to be a lot of green jobs creation, and that's going to go a long way in terms of improving even the economies of many African countries. That's what I would say in a nutshell.
Yeah, I would concur with Luke, and then I'll just add that through the commitments that we see governments of African countries taking to actually take issues of climate change on board and ensure that their countries are initiating programs and that are greening the economy. We see that in as much as we have ran maybe as the forerunners a difficult mile that we have ran, but we feel that in the future it's going to be easier for other green businesses to come on board, as long as we just have the support and the commitment from government and all the various interested stakeholders.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think both of you and your companies are doing a great job paving the way for other entrepreneurs to make the process simpler. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Luke, for your time and for chatting with us today. I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors. I'm sure this is not the last time we'll be hearing from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Belinda. It has been a pleasure to be part of this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Luke.
Thank you so much, Belinda.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It was really great chatting to you. So that's all for this edition of ILO's Future of Work podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And that is it from us. Goodbye.